Thank you. Item 1B, approval of agenda items for discussion.
I move that the agenda for the January 12th, 2026 regular meeting be approved.
Support.
A motion by Mrs. Shaw, supported by Mr. Keller. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none. Motion on the table is approval of agenda and items for discussion brought forward by Mrs. Shaw, supported by Mr. Keller. Mr. Gogolewski.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw.
Yes.
Mr. Keller.
Yes.
Mr. Scott.
Yes.
Ms. Custodio.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Motion carries. Item 1C, consent agenda.
I move that the consent agenda for the January 12th, 2026 regular meeting be approved.
Support.
A motion by Mrs. Shaw, support by Ms. Custodio. Is there any discussion on the motion? I'd just like to point out that there were a couple of small errors that were corrected in the minutes from the last meeting. The current copy is in front of you, just a slight wording change. I feel like, Renee, there was 2 changes that I sent you, but now I'm forgetting the second one. But they were very minor changes. If you have any questions, please let us know, but the current version is in front of you here at the table. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. The motion on the table is to approve the consent agenda brought forward by Mrs. Shaw, supported by Ms. Custodio. Mr. Gogolewski.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw.
Yes.
Mr. Keller.
Yes.
Mr. Scott.
Yes.
Ms. Custodio.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Motion carries. Item 1D, Superintendent's Report. Mr. Hughes.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to ask Mr. Reck to come up and talk about happenings at Village Elementary. I notice his staff is back there. Thank you for attending tonight.
All right, everyone. First of all, just would like to start off by saying Happy Board Appreciation Month. Appreciate you all. Oh, begin again. First of all, thank you for having me and happy Board Appreciation Month. Thank you all for your service to our community. So I'm here for Village to discuss our Wise Time program. Wise Time is our intervention block for all students. So what is it? It is a dedicated time slot in our school day, Monday through Thursday, to address the needs of all learners. I look at it this way. If I was training runners and I had all the runners in the class, I would do my best to get them all going, but at some point I gotta let the fast runners run fast, medium runners run together, and the low runners get what they need. And this is our opportunity to build a system that is flexible and data-driven to be able to address all of our students. When we use the word intervention, typically that is centered around helping a struggling learner, but in this block, it's all learners. It really means giving a student what they need during that time frame. So we have a cycle, and it works between the marking periods. It begins with our data days. Then it goes into the actual execution of Wise Time. We progress monitor, we check how they're doing, and we finish with those end of unit assessments. Those could be teacher created, the big assessments, early benchmark, M-STEP, all those things. We use as much data as possible to see how we are, and we begin the cycle again. So we start off with our data days. Data days are, and these are grade level teams. So it's our grade level classroom teachers, it's our reading support, reading recovery teachers, our building interventionist plays a huge role in these. Our special education resource room teacher that supports that grade. Anybody else that has the ability to come in and help review the data with us. So we look at state benchmarks, current reading levels, assessing using Delta Math, grade level assessments, teacher observations. Then after we look at where we are at, we decide where do we need to put our efforts. And we identify that intervention target. So that always centers around math or literacy. Then we take that data, once we've decided that, and then drill down and start dividing our groups. And we build our WISE time groups for that next 6 to 8 weeks. Once we have our groups created, we fill out a parent letter that goes home that says who their WISE time teacher is going to be, what the purpose of it, and what area is it below, at, or above grade level. So we try to provide that communication with parents. Part of our MTSS system, we review and update our intervention tracker for more traditional interventions that happen during the course of the that we've been working on. We schedule any new staffings for students that we have concerns about, we need to meet on, and then we prep and get ready to roll. As I said, WISE time is a scheduled time. When I build the schedule for the start of the year, we build the teacher prep and special schedules, the lunch recess schedule, and then WISE time. So this ensures maximum support for all of our support staff to assist the classroom teacher. So we could take, instead of dividing 80 kids between 4 teachers, we're dividing 80 kids among 7 adults. So these are WISE time groups from the fall, and you could see this, our growth or our goal in 1st and 2nd grade centered around reading growth, and each of those blocks is what represent our groups. So it could be a low developing skill that they needed practice on, or they needed additional instruction, all the way up to they're above grade level, let's push them. In third and fourth grade, we focused on math growth. In some of our growth through WISE time, this was a very flexible system. This was a lot of extra practice where they were at, and we knew a lot of our students had the ability and had the skill to be able to progress. So maybe they just needed some extra work in that area. And once they showed their proficiency, they moved to the next group. So our teachers were meeting every 2 weeks on these students and regrouping and hopefully moving them up the ladder as we progressed through the course of that WISE time cycle. So what we did was we completed our cycle at the end of last semester before break. They came back, our 1st and 2nd graders took the early literacy benchmark winner assessment. We are one of the few schools that does that because we need it. And we jumped up 27% more proficient than we were in the fall. We showed 90% growth in 1st grade, 82% growth in 2nd grade, 24% increased proficiency. And then in 3rd and 4th grade, using our Delta Math Screener, we saw, you can read that growth there, and our increased proficiency. So what's interesting about that is starting tomorrow, we go back into the lab again, take that data, and the cycle starts again. But what's really great is some of the ancillary benefits that come from WISE time. Teaching is a very personal profession. They focus on their kids, they love their kids, they want to grow. It takes a lot of trust to put growth of your students on your colleagues. And we have to do that because we know that's what's right for kids. So when we have data days, we work together, we're very collaborative. We have accountability of all the things that happen at Village. We have accountability of our scores, we have accountability of the health and safety of our kiddos. So, and that also builds more relationships because those students are working with other teachers in their grade level. They build different relationships throughout the building. students know more adults and have more opportunities to build those with staff. And we get to maximize staff expertise. If we have a high group and one of our special education resource room teacher taught a higher level and has expertise in maybe pushing those students, they'll take the high group. Just because they're a special education teacher doesn't mean they're going to take the low group. It's about meeting our kids where they're at to help them grow. So we think that is one part of the puzzle that has led to our growth. We take these seriously and we own them. And we're never satisfied. Like I said, we're going to go in the lab again and try to get this group of Village kids to continue to grow. We're really happy with the direction we're going, but it takes constant work. It takes that perseverance that our staff has built and that our students have built. And it reflects over that 4-year period where we've jumped up in these areas from my school data. So we're really proud of our Wise Time program. We think it's adding to the academic growth of our students. And I am open for your questions. And this is the most elementary presentation I have ever put together. So.
Mr. Reck, is this something that's done at all elementary schools or just at Village right now?
I can't answer. Every school does a little bit different intervention. We do some typical intervention where we will pull a student out that might need some very targeted support during their academic block. But we thought it was really important to set that time aside for all students to build on what we're doing in the curriculum to support the curriculum outside of that time. I know that Mr. Minsker back in the day really brought this program to Round Elementary. And so if a school needs it, I think they would certainly do it. I'd be remiss if I didn't say this is more work on the staff because it's another prep. You know, they have their reading block, their writing block, their math, social studies, science, but they take this work on because they know the benefits of it. So they willingly jump into this work because we know where we want to go. So
I was happy to hear you say that this also affects some of the kids who are highly capable and maybe are exceeding their levels, and it doesn't exclude them. I'm happy to hear that. So,
well, and I think there's an opportunity in those where, from my example at the beginning, we want that if that child has an opportunity to run fast, let's let them go and let them find some challenge because that might be the first time that they've been challenged. And we'd like them to have that in third grade Wise Time, not AP language. We want their challenge to happen where we can meet them.
I can add to that too. The questions, your answer is yes, all the elementaries have something like this. They all have that extra block of intervention time in addition to the core instruction. It all looks a little bit different depending on their staffing and their schedule and things like that, but they all do something similar.
I just wanted to say that all of the staff's dedication really shows in that growth. So congratulations to all of you for your hard work.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jason.
Well, here's some real hedgehogs up there for you. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Reck. And thank you, Village staff, for all that you do. And I think that Jason's absolutely correct. None of this happens without you and the extra that you put into making sure that every student gets the services and receives the intervention that they need. And we appreciate that. So, all right. Next, Mr. Usher is going to come up, and I've asked Mr. Usher just to do a current state of the technology in the district, where we are as it sits today. I haven't asked him to go beyond today. I just want the board and the community to be aware of where we are in regards to our technology and what we have in the district, so.
Particularly pertaining to the 2020 bond. And just catching you up to where we're at. So, here we are. Okay, I wanted to reintroduce all of you because you don't see them very often. They're kind of like ninjas out there, all of my staff, technology folks, and they just get things done. So I just wanted to kind of reintroduce all of my technology staff to each of you. That's a list of all of those folks. The three folks on the end down there on the right-hand side of the screen you're looking at, those folks are from LESA. We have some shared consortium work that we do with those folks, and we've been in a consortium with them since the technology consortium at LESA was introduced quite a number of years ago. And those are the three guys that every once in a while pop in and do some work here at Hartland. So all told, we have 105 years of technology experience in education with all of those folks that are sitting up there or that are pictured up there. So it's quite a bit of experience for supporting technology and education here at Hartland. So with regard to the 2020 bond, I want to talk about where we're at, where we started, and where we've gotten to up here to 2026 now. So first of all, we're going to talk about there are different categories within the bond. This is going to be technology infrastructure. So for a lot of folks, this is a little on the dry side, a little boring. But to us technology folks, we get kind of excited about it. So one of the things that we did in 2021, we went through and replaced all the network switches, servers, and a lot of the cabling that existed in our district. So there in those four pictures, you see some different racks and the MDF, and some different switches and so forth that are throughout our district right now, and just how nice and clean. I guarantee that those spaces did not look that way prior to 2021. Those pretty little 1-inch cables were long, huge 10-foot cables or 6-foot cables that were draped all over the place. It is so much easier for us to support the district right now with all the work that was done on those switches back in 2021. We also have replaced a number of rack UPSs. Those are the uninterruptible power supplies, the battery backups in each of the racks. We've been working through those. And we've replaced fiber that ran to all of our IDFs throughout each building in the district, across the district. We had a fiber that was installed when the buildings were built for Creekside and the high school, and in that case, Orr Creek back in '96, and everything else was pretty much put in 2004 or 2006. It's 20 years old. You get to that point, you have to start to think about replacing that heavy infrastructure. So that's what we did. We'll move away from technology infrastructure now, and we'll move into the area of technology safety and security. And in that category, the very first thing that we did, if it comes up, there it is we added a bunch of security cameras a couple of years ago. We added cameras to Creekside, Lakes, Round, and Village that had little to no cameras. We replaced all the cameras at Farms in the middle school, and we added cameras to the high school, the 51 building, which didn't have cameras. Oh, they had a couple cameras. Now we have a few more there. And we put cameras in the Ox field. We put cameras out at the new team building. We added cameras to the current field out in that space out there. So we're much better covered as far as our access to cameras and recordings. Those different cameras that you see there are cameras that we actually have installed in the district. Those are just a bunch of different types of cameras. The one on the corner of the brick building, I'll show you that one. I'll just talk about that one real quick. That one's a tri-head camera. It's actually got 3 cameras, and it can see 270 degrees, which is really cool. And those are really advantageous because it's got 3 different lenses in it that sees those 270 degrees, and it replaces the concept of having 3 individual cameras. The access control, so the badges and the cards that all of our staff walk around with, we replaced those along with the At the same time we were doing the cameras, we replaced access control, we replaced the server, we upgraded the system so that the cards that we now have are encrypted. They're much, much, much more difficult to copy, which is really helpful and makes me feel a lot more secure and safe. And then the card readers on the outside of the buildings we replaced as well, so they are capable of reading the encrypted cards. We added access control to the preschool and legacy spaces here at this building, and I know you've all walked down that hallway when you've done some closed sessions, so you know you have to have a badge in order to get through there. It's much safer at this facility to have those spaces closed off. We added buzzer systems to this space here, sorry. We added buzzer spaces here to Legacy and Preschool. We added access control doors. I'm sorry, the previous one was access control doors at Lakes, here at Legacy, and all of our office doors around the district now have wireless door card readers in them, which is helpful. If there's an emergency, they push a button, those doors will lock. It's nice to have that level of security and safety. We replaced the phone system. Those are 3 different types of phones. The one on the lower left-hand is the office phone, and there's a teacher phone, and then there's a conference phone. We have a couple conference phones across the district in a couple different conference rooms and places where it makes sense to have them. We replaced our major phone switch. That was a huge thing. It needed to be replaced. The old one, which was a Cisco phone switch, was way out of date, and we needed to have something new. So we have this new phone switch, which is really nice to have. And moving on to interactive classroom technology. A lot of you have been in the classroom, so you've seen a couple classrooms, and you have an example of one over on the wall over there, the interactive flat panels. We placed 311 of them across the district. We had 9 that were installed in other places. We took those 9 and we placed them in like conference room areas and collaborative workspaces and stuff like that where we didn't have panels before. So we do have new panels across the district. The computer replacement, that's something that was a big project, and it always is whenever we do computer replacement. So we've got labs, we've got laptops, we've got desktops, we've got Chromeboxes and Chromebooks, and we replaced over the course of a 3-year period 970 desktops and 549 Chromebooks so far that were out of date. So we had to replace all those up to that point. I will talk just a skosh about Series 2. There is some money left in the bond earmarked for technology to replace Series 2 Chromebooks. So Chromebooks die every 5 to 7 years. They have to be auto-updated, and the auto-updates run out. They just stop working after a period of time, and once that happens, we have to get new devices so that they can be used for testing, and so we can administer them. And out of the 2020 bond, like I said, we replaced a number of them so far. We still have more to replace. And we do have a built-in refresh cycle for that. That's how many, we did not have that many district Chromebook carts planned or spread out throughout the buildings prior to the 2020 bond. We've built ourselves up to 6 Hartland schools owned and purchased carts per elementary, 13 for farms in the middle school, 18 for the high school, and then 2 here at the SSC. For the remaining Chromebook refresh, those are going to be conducted in 2029 for those buildings that are available there that you see, 2031 for the middle school and the high school, and 2032 for the SSC. We put some technology in the STEM and collab spaces, including 80 iPads. We have some 3D printers at the 7 and 8 building, the middle school. We put AV systems in each of our collaboration spaces, so panels and boards and audio systems. And then we have the robots. I remember Mr. Gogolewski, I think it was, went over to farms and saw the STEM center over there and saw some robots being run, correct? Yeah, so those are, just give you an example of the robots that we have in those spaces. The last thing that I'm responsible for is the PAC in the auditorium. And I just wanted to just give you a slide and let you know that we did some work in the Performing Arts Center in the auditorium, including replacing all of the curtains, which were in desperate need of being replaced. So we have those new curtains. We have red main curtains at the high school now and a nice pretty blue curtain over here at this building. And we replaced the entire lighting infrastructure has been replaced, and those are the two new consoles there at each of the two buildings, and then that's a view from the stage out to the lights in each of the two facilities. And that is catching you up to date with what we've done with the 2020 bond as far as technology is concerned.
What would you say is lacking technology-wise in the district?
Well, I think that we definitely need to have additional Chromebooks. So we would like to see, and Jason will attest to this back there, because each year that we do testing, we have to move Chromebooks around from building to building. Not all the buildings, but certainly when we test at the high school, we have to borrow Chromebooks. So we would like to be able to move, hopefully in a future bond, to a situation where we have 2 Chromebook carts. Nope, 1 Chromebook cart for every 2 classrooms district-wide, and that will take care of the need for currently us to have to move Chromebook carts around the place.
Is there any kind of financial recovery from some of the used equipment? Not Chromebooks specifically, but monitors and things like that?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. So one of the things that we didn't do in this past bond is we didn't replace monitors at I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, I think the whole high school, the elementaries didn't receive monitors. I think the main building that received new monitors, because they were in desperate need of it, was the middle school. Otherwise, we didn't replace those monitors. So we did reap some savings as a result of not having done that. So we do try to put equipment where it needs to be used clearly, and then not put equipment when we don't need to replace it.
There's probably no great savings from any kind of like third-party sale of older stuff or anything like that, or?
Mr. Gogoleski, by the time we are through with it, nobody wants it.
Yeah, okay.
We use the heck out of it. Yeah, we really do.
It's pitched, right? Yeah.
It's a great question, and I'd love to be able to say, yes, we could do that, but
No,
really,
I'm
there
just
isn't much
wondering.
value.
I didn't know if there was any recourse for that or any kind of, okay.
It's a great question. Okay. Well, thank you all very much. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. All right, so ends the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Do you want to bring up the lights, please?
Lights.
The lights, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Next up is item 1E, call to the public. Speakers are asked to express themselves in a civil manner with due respect for the dignity and privacy of others who may be affected by your comments. Each speaker may be limited to 3 minutes. I'll hold up this yellow folder at about 2.5 minutes to let you know that your time is almost up. First up is Michelle Walker-Schaefer.
So here I am again, still fighting for my bus stop for my son. As you guys know, I've been trying for 4 months. So coming at it as a reasonable way of asking with common sense reasons why we're asking and how it can be easily accommodated. I'm gonna think that there's gotta be more to this. Chuck has pointed out many times that he remembers my son. He had my son 10 years ago, 15 years ago. My son was not a good kid, okay? He was that misbehaved child that probably ended up in Chuck's office many a times. We're not dealing with that child. We're dealing with the child that is kind, popular, involved in sports. We built our business, Deals. It's a liquidation company that is to help the community. We brought it to Hartland. My 11-year-old helped build that business. My 11-year-old is that kid that you see standing out in front of my business at Christmas, waving in an elf outfit with Santa for fun, to help, to make little children smile. He hands them coloring books. He's the same kid that the 10 families we fed this year and the 13 families we fed last year, Hartland families, he's the one that loaded the 5 boxes in each one of their trunks. Because he knows it's what needs to be done for others less fortunate. So I'm going to let my son stand up for himself tonight, and I hope you take a little bit more personal interest on the personal success of a child that deserves to be in school and have a reasonable bus that does not affect anybody else's problems, anybody else's day, or anybody else's schedule, other than opening the door once on an already given route. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker-Schaefer. Next up is Colleton Schaefer.
Since this is most about me, I want to say that I want to go to school. I love going to school. I want to see my friends. I'm asking, please give me a bus stop. My mom is a scared driver in the snow and rain, and she does not like driving in the rain and snow.
Thank you, Colleton. That was very brave. Sorry, Colton. Next up is Mr. Scott.
You can skip me for tonight. I'll bring my comments another night.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Eric Cicchetti.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to bring some attention to an issue we're having at Lakes. My daughter is in the 1st grade in Miss Barb's class, and as of Saturday, we've received treatments for lice 3 separate times. I know that Ms. Frazier and Ms. Barb are working with us trying to get this resolved. We've asked to have the district nurse perform like a head check, and according to the lice protocol you guys have here, that's not something you were willing to do. Each time we go to get treatment, it costs us about $125. So as you can see, this is adding up really quickly. I shave my head every day, so that's not because of what happened. But for my daughter who is sitting at home crying, we can't continue to keep doing this. So please, if you guys can please look into that policy and protocol so we can get this addressed. It is affecting multiple classrooms. I know of students in the 4th and also in the kindergarten, also in the latchkey program. So we were advised by multiple parents that someone should come tonight and bring this up to the committee here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cicchetti. Mr. Hughes, would you follow up with the Lakes team?
Yes, I'll follow up with our school nurse as well as the Lakes team on that.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Mr. Jason Schaefer.
Well, I didn't know what my wife was going to say, so Chuck, you're probably aware, we actually sat down with the IEP meeting. We met with 6 staffers trying to figure out a solution to keep my kid maybe virtual schooled and homeschooled as well. So based on that meeting, we took just over 2 hours. I figure 6 staff members, that's about $360 plus my time out of work, my wife's time out of work. So we times that by, what, 10, would you say, Jeff? We have thousands of dollars into the school staff, which we don't want to do. And not know what my wife was going to say, I couldn't believe my son came up here. So basically, all we were asking for is that original bus stop back at Granger, the stop at Mack and Fawcett, just trying to figure out a solution here. And just like my son said, my wife will not drive if there's snow on the ground. So that's what we're trying to accommodate. I think that's about it. You guys know our concerns. Jeff, if you want to take the rest of my time up, probably got a minute and a half. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, next up, committee and building reports. Mr. Gogolewski.
Yes, thank you. As far as a building report, I don't have anything this month, but there is a visit coming up in the next couple of weeks to farms. So during the next meeting, I'll have something to say. Regarding committee, not necessarily a committee, but we had a very productive situation that came up where we met with Mr. Hughes and Mrs. Gregory to talk about some of the things that we can do to better the communication from admin to the board, and I thought it was very, very positive and very, very productive. So I'd like to thank Mr. Hughes and Mrs. Gregory for that.
Great to hear. Thank you. Mr. Campbell.
Yep, Creekside Elementary. I was able to speak with Principal Gunn. Happy to brag for them that, depending on the source, they're ranked second or first in Livingston County and 22nd in the state. And that's based on the number of students proficient in math, reading, and language arts. What that basically means, achieving and succeeded at educating all of their students when everything's looked at and taken into consideration. School also received recognition from Representative Wolford, which they're very proud of. I asked Principal Gunn why that is, and she credited the curriculum and commitment of what she referred to the staff again as quality staff. Also, specific credit was given to the extension team and the entire staff's focus on progress over perfection and individual student growth, which is something Principal Rec touched on today too, was growth. Activities in the school currently have the change drive taking place to generate funds for their school dog. And district-wide, reminder that school count is February 11th before our next meeting, so I wanted to share that. But congratulations on Creekside Elementary, doing an awesome job.
That's great. Thank you. Mrs. Shaw.
Nothing to report. I have not had a chance to get to round since 2025.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Keller.
Thank you, President Coleman. So give you some updates on lakes. Progress reports were ready to go last Friday, so hopefully all the parents were able to go and take a look at those. Coming up this week, there's a Sky Dome Planetarium on the 14th, so the kids get to experience a journey through outer space, so I'm sure that will be a pretty fun adventure. As a reminder, yearbooks are going to be on sale, or they are on sale now. I think it's $14, so hopefully make sure you get your order in on that. Still need some art supplies. So again, styrofoam cartons and some newspapers, things like that. So anything you can offer to the team, that would be much appreciated. If there's any kids listening, just a reminder, no school next Monday on the 19th. I'm sure you're very disappointed. We've got an upcoming PTO restaurant night on the 20th at Hungry Howie's. So any purchases at Hungry Howie's that evening will go in support of the Lakes PTO, so hope you can help them out. And then I think the last highlight for that would be We've got some volunteers that are needed for the second half of the school year, so if you have the time and the interest, would love for you to reach out to the PTO and express your interest and see what kind of schedule you can arrange with them. So that ends my building report, but then just to kind of talk about, I'll call it a committee report, subcommittee report, as Mr. Gogolewski touched on. I think that was a very good meeting. And again, I also want to thank Mr. Hughes and Mrs. Gregory for their time. I thought it was a very good discussion that we had. And also thank Mr. Gogolewski and Mr. Campbell for your participation in that meeting. And just for the rest of the board, we were kind of working through some potential language on a policy, so hopefully here in the next, before the, I think it's the 26th is our next policy meeting, so I think you'll see something in that packet, and I still owe Mr. Hughes some edits, or suggested edits, I guess, for that policy, so I'll send those out. Second topic is, also in follow-up from last month's meeting was the conversations around FOIA, and that myself, Mr. Scott, and President Coleman, we did meet with Mr. Hughes and Ms. Braden to kind of talk about the FOIA procedures and policies and some of the things around how do we come up with our estimates and what do we charge. And again, I don't want to rehash all the discussion that we had. I think Mr. Hughes summarized some of that in his report to us, but I did think it was a good meeting, and potentially be some further discussion on that. But again, just wanted to make sure the rest of the board was aware that the meeting did occur as committed to, so thank you.
All right. At the middle school, I was expecting kind of a slow report with the holidays, but they do not slow down over there. So lots happening before the holiday and then also coming back. Something really cool, Mr. Jarvinen in woodworking worked with his students. They had an idea this year, I think it's the first year they've done it, to build craft items during class and then sell them to support Adopt a Family and Toys for Tots. And in 6 class periods, they created crafts and raised over $1,000. So a big salute to Mr. Jarvinen and all those students for raising over $1,000. Moving into sports, 7th and 8th grade boys basketball finished in December with winning records. So a big shout out to Coach Silverston, Coach Clayman, and the student athletes on the team. The jazz band had a great performance back in December. I can attest to that one. My son's in the jazz band and absolutely loves it. So a shout out to Mrs. Lively and all those band members who stay after school a couple days a week to make sure they can bring us that jazz music. The choir had a great holiday performance. That was in January, so thanks to Miss Reed and those students. The cheer team smoked it. The gold team took first, blue took second, and it sounds like the high school teams all took first as well, so a big shout out to cheer. And then the students of the month at the middle school for December, the 7th grade student of the month was Xavier Ruck Kasim, and the 8th grade student of the month, Molly Sexton. This month's students, 7th grader Weston Windell and 8th grader Brendan Shippey. So big thank you, big congrats to the hardworking students. And then last but not least, the staff at the middle school wanted to make sure we recognized National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, which was last week. So a big thank you to SRO Deputy Dustin in the back of the room, who spends his days at the middle school, but also all the SROs and SSOs throughout the district. Thank you very much for what you do.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Ms. Custodio?
I don't have anything this month. I think Mr. Reck covered everything for Village.
Awesome, thank you. I just have a couple notes. The Senior Center Advisory Council met just last week. And Mr. Hughes came to visit with that group, I think for the second time, to talk about bond ideas and is gathering information. Obviously, he's gathering information throughout the community, through all of our different parent organizations, et cetera. And they truly appreciate that he reached out and asked for their input. There was a little conversation in the room after you left, and they were definitely supportive of, or happy that you had the support for what they wanted to do, and were at a good listening ear for them. So they were definitely thankful. They've had a variety of events recently, of course, through the holidays. Their events have been relatively successful, which is good because a lot of those are fundraisers, but they do make an effort to make the events and classes affordable for everybody. Their travel committee has done a fantastic job putting together a variety of tour and travel options. There's a ton of options on the calendar already for 2026. So if you're a member, you should check those out. Let's see, for Legacy High School, I wasn't able to connect with Mrs. Conley before break, but we are meeting this week on Friday, so I'll have a report next time from Legacy and HVA. For Main Campus High School, I met with Mr. Fitzgerald the last week before school break, which was a whirlwind. All the students and staff, of course, were up to they're up hip deep in finals and all the exams and all the crazy. But I hope everybody had a wonderful and restful break and that your semester is off to a great start. Today, I was able to attend the unified basketball game against Brighton. That is truly one of the things I look forward to the most during the basketball season is those unified games. And it was a treat for me, selfishly speaking, that I had 3 boys participating in the club. So that was a ton of fun to see them interacting with all the kids. They all had a great time. So thank you to Mrs. DePestel and to her assistant coaches and to all those students that participate in the peer-to-peer program, and then also in the Unified Club during club time on Fridays and after school. I also wanted to put in a little plug for our cheer teams. In case you hadn't heard, though Mr. Scott alluded to this, our high school competitive cheer teams, both JV and varsity, did come in first place this last weekend at the cheer competition at Kearsley High School in Flint. Varsity is currently undefeated. I'm not sure what JV's record is, but varsity is undefeated. Both teams will participate in a fierce competition this weekend at Stony Creek High School, which Stony Creek is now the 2-time defending state champions. So should be some great competition. If you're in the mood for a little cheer competition, please check it out and cheer on our girls. I think that's all I've got for reports. Moving on to item 2A, School of Choice for discussion. Mr. Hughes?
Yep. So I asked Kate Gregory, Assistant Superintendent for Personnel and Student Services, to take a look at where we are in regards to the board's continued support. Years ago, the board supported open enrollment for school of choice. Under policy 0122, the board still can change that direction if they chose to. That is a prerogative of the board on whether or not we have school of choice or not. And what we wanted to look at for sure is where are we currently, and do we want to make any changes to our school of choice open enrollment? So currently in Hartland schools, open enrollment means any grade level, there's an open enrollment, meaning unlimited seats available if you apply and you go through the process and you meet the qualifications for school of choice. And once you become a school of choice student, you are in the district and you have all rights of a district student until such a time as you're no longer in the district. You choose to leave. We don't ask you to leave. So Kate was going to look at the numbers so that we could determine whether or not we should present a different plan other than what we've been doing. Should we be doing limited enrollment at certain grade levels, or should we continue open enrollment? So I'll let Kate take it from there.
Good evening. So yes, I pulled numbers. For those of you that don't know, we run school of choice applications twice a year. So we will actually open, the plan is to open February 1st, and it will close July 30th, and that will be for next school year. Open enrollment, we currently run all grades. Whoever applies, we have the conversation, we go through the application. and I will make that judgment based on the criteria that we have of whether they're accepted. The second time we run is in November, the 1st through the 15th. We have a 2-week window there, and that is on a limited basis, and it's for second semester enrollment. So that pretty much has to be on a limited basis, because if we don't have the staff in the room currently, we can't take on more children than we have staff to teach them. So roughly around 200 kids, I would say, we get in that first of the year enrollment period, give or take, and anywhere from 5 to 15 for a second semester enrollment. Currently, I would say, looking at numbers and where our staff are at, we are in a fantastic spot. I feel very comfortable going into a full open enrollment for next year, looking at the staff we currently have and in the room in our rosters. So we have committed over the last few years, and I think this is why we're sitting here talking as well, is that our teacher rosters and their caseloads are not at their contractual maximum. We do our best, especially at the elementary level specifically, that we try and keep those class numbers lower than what that contractual limit is that we are able to go to. Also looking at building space, because we've made that commitment, our buildings are running out of space in terms of if we want to keep the really low number, we probably need to have the conversation of what does that look like in the future. So this is more future building than a current need that we have right now. So right now we have one potential open room at Lakes, and maybe we could make something happen at Round, but all of our other elementary K-6 space is being utilized by our teaching staff. But again, our rosters are lower in numbers. If we see this boom in school of choice students, then it's very likely that I could be back here in front of you saying, what would you like to do? Would you like to increase that caseload, that roster size, or do we limit school of choice in the summer? I will tell you our major gains, I would say, in our numbers are obviously kindergarten. We get close to 70 to 80 kids that apply at the very beginning of their schooling. And then 9th grade is another big chunk, as they've done some private schools and then they hop to us for high school. So we're looking at 20 to 30 there usually. And the rest we kind of dabble with in between. So I feel like we're in a great shape right now. We can open school of choice enrollment for next year. I don't see any problems going forward, but come next year, depending on what our numbers look like, we might be back here saying we need to make some decisions of what that looks like.
Wasn't there at one point when Mr. Van Epps was here, wasn't there a limited number that we were accepting? And I don't know why the number sticks in my head, like 200 or something like that. I don't know.
First, like a second semester enrollment, yes. So I talk with all of the different buildings and kind of pull numbers and look at what our average class size is to try and determine, do we have space? You know, I'll reach out to the high school counselor and she'll say, like, 9th grade, I really don't have any more room in algebra, and so maybe we're not going to take 9th graders at second semester. That is limited. When we can pull them in the spring and early summer, we still have time to finesse things within our schedules if we need to make it work. So we have been, at least to my knowledge, for first semester, full year enrollment there, we've had that open completely for a while.
Now, if enrollment gets to the point where maybe we are out of space at either an elementary or high school class, what would happen with that overflow then? What would we have to do?
So at a secondary level, where it's a little easier, right? Because we can put a teacher on a cart and they can hop to different classrooms that are open by a prep, and our kids are switching every hour, so that's a non-issue. The K-6, it becomes tricky. That's where we have to talk about the portables that we used to have around here, or if that does, and I'm not saying it is, but if it does become a conversation about a future bond, do we have to build another building? What does that look like in the future? Again, that comes back to you as part of that decision making.
Yeah, just as a security issue, I would really like to avoid the portable kind of
Yeah, and I
thing.
don't foresee that being an issue right now.
Okay, all right.
So if you don't mind, one of the things that we're doing in the collection of data for the future bond is having those conversations with all of the stakeholders to say, where are we? And one of the things that's clear is that our classroom space at the elementary schools through farms are filling up. And I think Kate touched on it, is right now, we have room in the buildings if we're at maximum contractual limits, right? So there's room there. But that becomes not necessarily the greatest feeling for parents that have 30 in a first grade classroom. But the reality is we have that space. And when you do go to bond, you do have to show the Treasury that you're going to, if you built a new building, let's say, you have to show that you're 70% capacity the day you open the building. So the other option may be that we do some add-ons, Creekside or Lakes. We build a two-story add-on at each of those buildings, and that's a more fiscal responsible way to do it. So that's going to be all the conversation that the board's going to have is, what does a future bond look like, and what are the needs of the district to address those types of situations? So I think what Kate just said, though, is next year with open enrollment, we're going to be okay, and hopefully by next year, the board is digesting all the information on the future bond and starting to put that into play. So we'll have a plan.
Thank you, Mrs. Gregory. So we're talking essentially about 27, 28, right?
26, 27 right now, we're in good shape.
Good, right. So
20
is there something that specifically leads us to believe that there's going to be a large bump in that year?
I don't know that it necessarily leads us to believe. I think this is the year that we have to use to gather some more data because we are seeing a little bit of an increase with our elementary size classes. We saw the dip, and now we're starting to build back up a little bit. So I think it's just something that we have to pay attention to, and I guess we're sitting here just bringing the awareness to you so that you have the information.
Okay, because we've obviously had more enrollment at all of the schools than we currently do now. So I'm just trying to figure out, to me, it seems like this should be an item to talk about at our strategic plan meeting this summer. Because it certainly seems more of a long-term item. So that would be my recommendation, to maybe give our strategic plan coordinator a heads up and maybe have some ability to work on it at that meeting.
Thanks for that suggestion, Jeff. Any other questions for Mrs. Gregory? Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
We appreciate it. Item 2B, high school English trip.
So Mr. Fitzgerald contacted me because we have our guests here tonight who are going to talk to you about a overseas trip that they would like to put together. So Ms. Gus, you're representing Mr. Fitzgerald tonight.
I am.
Go for it.
Good evening. I have two of our outstanding English teachers, Ms. Jen Loda and Ms. Elaine Bell, that want to talk to you about an opportunity they'd like to offer to our students. So I'm going to let them talk about it.
So we've been asked to keep this short and sweet, so we don't want to waste your time. We will be skipping around a little bit. So I'm Jennifer Loda, and this is Elaine Bell. We've been teaching together now, English 11, for about a decade. Together, we have 33 years of teaching experience. We both sponsored clubs. We've both traveled with students. Elaine in a journalism factor, and I traveled with DECA students. So one of the things that we love is building these relationships outside of the classroom, watching them gain their confidence and seeing where they grow. So we also believe that it's really important to be global learners at this point. And so we're proposing a trip to Ireland and England in the summer of 2027. And so Elaine's going to tell you a little bit about the rationale as to why we think these places are important.
Hi there. So one of the things we did is we did some research on some of the different travel companies. And so the EF company is one of the companies that our district has already used for some of the world language trips. And so when we were looking at information, the slide that you see right now is basically a survey that they've given to previous students from 2025 from all their different tours, trying to get some feedback about how valuable these tours are to them. So one of the things that I was asked to do was to kind of talk to you a little bit about the curriculum connections and why we picked Ireland and England. So one of the things with travel is it gives the students an opportunity to grow in their mindsets. It gives them a global perspective. It gives them the opportunity to grow personally and to experience cultural experiences that they wouldn't naturally get here in our lovely little town of Hartland that we love a lot. So one of the things that's neat about this trip is it's going to give them access to a variety of different situations. And so Mrs. Lode is going to talk to you about our itinerary in just a minute, but just to go over quickly some of the curriculum standards that connect to this trip. We're going to be able to expose them to some of the English standards in reading, where they'll be exposed to a variety of our canonical authors like Yeats and Shakespeare. We'll get a chance to visit authors' homes. We'll get a chance to visit some really incredible museums. They'll get a chance to get an experience to look at countrysides, as well as Dublin and different things in London. And so the other thing that we're going to focus on too is just really giving them the opportunity to be immersed in not only history, but also in cultural and literary contexts. And so Mrs. Lode gets to have the fun task of telling you some of the neat things that we're going to do with these kids. School board approved, of course. So that we just wanted to give you a quick overview of that.
Okay, so like I mentioned, we are planning on Ireland and England, and so we will, the potential dates that we have blocked off, which this may be a little flexible, but we're thinking of leaving in June of 2027, about the 8th through the 16th. This will be a 9-day trip. So we do, again, have some flexibility as far as getting the best rates. So we will start with Killarney, Ireland, and Dublin. We'll spend about 5 days there. We have added an additional excursion where the kids will get to do and learn a little bit about Irish dancing and do a workshop. We'll be touring some castles and museums as well. The next part of our trip will be to England, where we'll be in Birmingham and London. We'll get to see Shakespeare's birthplace. We will go to the Global Theater. I think there's an additional museum there as well. So we'll get to actually see a play in addition to that, which we thought was pretty cool. And then we'll be returning home after 9 days. We're going to skip this video. What you're seeing here is the entire presentation that we planned for the parent information night. So for time's sake, we'll just kind of skip through that. So the cool thing about EF, and Elaine will tell you a little bit about that, is that once you leave with the students and you arrive in the airport, your tour guide meets you and they stay with you the entire time. So these are experts in in the areas that they're guiding us through. They'll navigate us. Plus, we always have a liaison between us and EF.
And so that brings me to kind of some of the things that are included with our trip. So we will have a full-time tour director. We'll have probably 2 different tour directors, one that is specifically an expert in Ireland, and then a different one that's an expert in England. And one of the things I loved is literally they promise the second we go through customs, they greet us and they never leave our side until they say goodbye to us again at the airport again. And I love that idea that one of the things they pride themselves themselves in is safety, 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 organization, logistics. They're experts. They're also teachers at heart. So they make sure that these tour directors are immersed in the culture and they know their content. Every single detail is organized for us. We have very detailed information about, we asked what hotels would we be staying in, where are they located, what's the rationale for how they're chosen. So we have lots and lots of details to share with parents. And so one of the things that Mrs. Loda and I felt was important is that parents have an accurate expectation of what the trip involves. And so that's something we feel is important for parents to be aware of. So there's a lot of things covered for the trip. There's a couple things that kids will be responsible for, obviously passports, baggage fees, snacks, and any upgrades. So, and we'll go over all that with parents.
So as of right now, the cost has been quoted at $4,419. This includes a $200 discount enrollment fee as long as they plan the trip with us by February 6th. There's also a $95 deposit that they'll have to put down on the day that they decide to go. That is part of the total cost included as well. So we are aware that this is an investment. So we have looked into different options for them to fundraise, to pay both biweekly or monthly. And again, that would be up to each parent and what their financial situation is. I think we're skipping that. Another thought, another opportunity that kids will have for this, which I thought was pretty cool, is the University of Southern New Hampshire will offer additional college credits. So should they want to journal during this, reflect, this is something they will have to decide that they want to do before the trip, but this gives them an opportunity to have 3 college credits that they can take with them when they leave high school. So we thought that was pretty cool. That's at a very minimal fee as opposed to what a normal per college credit would cost. That's usually, we're looking at about $650 per credit. They could do this for $550. So we thought that that was a pretty cool option as well. We also could get additional PD. We'll talk about safety a little bit because we know that's on everybody's mind in this day and age.
Yes, so one of the things that we also really liked about this company is they have a ton of local EF offices abroad, and so there's many different resources for us for 24/7 help in case there is any emergencies. All the tour directors are qualified and trained for medical emergencies, so that was another thing that we really liked with it. They have mandatory safety training for all of us. Since this will be Jen and I's first time traveling with EF, there's specific training that will be given also so that we'll be prepared for this trip. And then they also offer a peace of mind program that's built into every tour for free, and they have a lot of details that goes into that. But that was really encouraging to me that they have things in place should there be unexpected things that happen. So, and then if you see all those little dots on that map, those are all the different locations where they have offices with staff prepared to help if there's any kind of unforeseen circumstances. So we felt very comfortable that they have a lot of resources to help us.
And actually, a lot of what has already been executed by like our English language or our foreign language classes. They do a Spanish trip all the time. This is the exact company that they go through. So Howell, Novi,
Grand
Blanc, many of the surrounding districts also use EF. Yeah, so we just thought that was kind of cool.
And then there's also we're going to just skim through these just to show you what we're going to show the parents, but they have a lot of resources. We have our personal website that will be set up for us for parents to use as a resource. They'll have options to use personal fundraising pages. There's scholarships available for students to help them. There's also going to be information about insurance for parents that would like to book insurance options. So that's all. This is like just a quick overview of all the different options for parents to support them, so that since it is a big cost up, they want to make sure they have options for what they can do, and there's some unforeseen circumstances. So that's like a quick overview. We'd like to have a parent informational meeting at the end of the month to see what the interest is and to offer this option to our students. We're interested in taking sophomores through seniors on the trip. And then this is like a travel support line they'll have available for parents for information. And then this is just a quote from a student who went on the same trip from a different school. So thank you so much for your time and letting us present this idea to you. We're excited to give our students the chance to do this and to incorporate some of our learning for literature that we've done in our classes. And then we do have some brochures for you just to show you an example of some of the materials that EF has provided for us to give to parents at an informational meeting. And then if there's any further questions, we'd be happy to talk to you, or if you think of something, you're welcome to email us.
Elaine, I would ask, depending on what the board decides
Sure.
at the next meeting,
Sure.
it'll be an action item.
Sure.
That you make sure when you meet with the parents that you highly encourage them to take the insurance.
Sure.
Because we don't know what's going on in the world today. And so anytime the board comes forward with a response to a request like this, we always assure the board from administrative side that we're going to really encourage the parents to buy the insurance.
Sure,
It just
absolutely.
makes sense. So
Sure.
please do that.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you.
One quick question. What is the criteria for students that wish to get in on this? Is this open to anyone?
Sophomore through seniors. Yeah, we're not going to take any freshmen, but we thought that we want it to accompany the current curriculum that they're doing, and so as they're reading these things about them now, they can actually do some real.
Is there any kind of academic criteria that they have to show good standing in their English class, or what? Is there anything like that at all, or?
So one of the things that I was going to do, Jen and I will talk to the World Language Department and find out what kind of characteristics they ask of the students. One thing that we were talking about doing is just double checking that students don't have a disciplinary concern before going on a trip. So kind of like the same rules that we would have for extracurricular participation. So students that are, on probation for behavior issues or wouldn't be able to participate due to foreseen disciplinary issues, that would be the same kind of policy that we would follow also. But it doesn't have to be an honors student, so any student in a regular English class or an honors class could participate.
I just want to say how amazing this is. High school has definitely gotten a lot cooler since I was in high school. And, thank you both too, because you've done this before. You're taking time away from your short, precious summer to give this amazing trip and memories to these students. So thank you for just one more thing I feel like that our Hartland teachers think of to do to bring these experiences to life for our students. So thank you for bringing this to them, and I can't wait to see what you guys think of next.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Yes.
Sorry, I just have one quick question, sorry. You mentioned the pricing could be locked in with that $200 discount if you lock it in by February 6th or something. Our next board meeting isn't until after that. So I just wanted to make sure, will the pricing be affected if we don't? Are you going to continue to move forward, or how is that going to work?
Yeah, so one of the questions we posed was that in the past, it's been practiced that it's okay to have an informational parent meeting sometimes before the vote. So if that's okay with you, that's what we've been asked to do by EF, because the more time we can give parents, the less expensive the monthly fees are. It is difficult, though, with timing. So they want to give us a discount for our students only within a week of the informational meetings. So that's what's kind of tricky for us for timing. So we want to respectfully, of course, wait for the vote, but we're also trying to figure out timing with the meetings and deadlines. Could you tell us when your next meeting vote would be so we could maybe try to look at dates?
16th. It's February 16th is the
okay.
next meeting, so it's
So-
a week and a half after
Okay,
that.
so we might need to postpone the informational meeting then to be able to offer the discount.
Well, or, I mean, I guess I just wanted to know how it would play out. Let's just say if we were to vote it down, let's say
Sure.
we don't pass it,
Sure.
would people be able to get their money back? If you're proceeding with this, I'm all about getting
Oh,
as
sure.
much of a discount
Right.
as you can.
Sure.
I just wanted to make sure that we weren't going to be shooting ourselves in the foot by taking the money and then, oh, sorry, you can't get this back.
Sure. They have a 7-day cancellation policy that for any reason for 7 days they can cancel. But yeah, I didn't realize the voting date was so late, so we probably want to try and look at those dates a little more carefully. We have a scheduled meeting with the EF director on Wednesday, and so that's where we were going to try and finalize dates and
Perfect.
enrollment. So that's helpful to know when your voting date is, so we can make sure that there's no penalty for any parents until after your vote. So thank you for telling us about the official date.
I do know in the past with EF tours that they have allowed the parent meeting, they've allowed the deposit, and they have shared with our staff that if the board were to say no, everybody got the full deposit back.
Oh, great.
So
Good.
that might be something to double check because we were not in a crunch for
Okay, great.
the board to make that decision. We could have the parent meeting.
That would be helpful.
They could make their deposit and commitment for the $200 discount. And then they always had, the board had the final say
Sure.
that they would return those funds.
Oh, great. Thank you, Kate.
President Coleman, could we also consider two options? One is we have our 26th meeting, right, where we could maybe potentially slip that in as a special item to vote on. Or I think, if there's, I don't know everyone's opinions of it, but perhaps someone could make a motion to just approve it today if there's not a lot of questions. So I see those as two potential items that we could consider tonight, just in the interest of the students and staff who are trying to plan for an important trip, which, I guess I'm a big advocate of global travel. I think it helps round students out. And so, I wish I would have had that benefit back when I was in high school, but it's definitely something that I'm glad that you've taken the time to try to organize, so appreciate that. As Vice President Shaw said, appreciate it on behalf of the students.
Thank you.
Couple things. President Coleman already hit my question on the timing, and I think Mr. Hughes hit my question on travel insurance. It looks like that's an extra fee.
It is.
I also saw as another fee there of some tips mentioned.
Right.
Is there some general guidance around what parents should expect? You go to the restaurant, right, it's kind of 20%. So are you adding another 20% to the $4,400 as a
Right.
general rule?
That was
or-
something I was looking through. That's a question I have to pose to the company to see how it's typically handled. It looks like it's $10 per day is what it looked like for me when I was trying to research it. But that was something I wanted to clarify with the company. Do they mean, is it per student? Is it per tour? So that was something I wanted to clarify. And since we have had teachers go on these trips, I wanted to ask them how they usually handle the tips, because I did notice that also. And so when I was looking at the materials, when I looked, it said $10 a day, but I did want to clarify that detail to find out what's expected.
Sure. Other question, you talked about the college credits. Sorry, it might be my phone here. The college credits, does that $550, is that already wrapped into the $44.19, or is that a separate fee that one would have to pay if you're interested in pursuing the credits?
That's a separate fee.
Okay.
So not everybody would receive those credits unless they chose to do that, because there is some preliminary work that they have to do beforehand, and then they would have to obviously journal and do whatever the expectations are throughout the duration of the travel.
Okay.
Yeah, so they offer undergraduate credits, like college credits, as a separate additional $550 for 3 undergraduate credits. They offer for free, they talk about like some certifications that they can put on their college application essays, and when they're doing applications for college, that's free. They called it like a Nobel Prize certificate. That would be free. And then they did say there's an option for a free high school elective credit that's included with the tour, but that was something we wanted to clarify with our counseling department. Just because this is our first trip, we wanted to double check, like what is the fine print on that? Like how does that work with our counseling department?
Okay, and then I guess one other question on trip is the communication piece. So how do parents get in touch with their students when they are overseas? Is it just expected that, you know, you're kind of on your own? If you have global travel on your phone, you can communicate with your parents that way, or what's kind of the...
Well, they have that 24/7 like support helpline. Should they need to get a hold of their children, they could go through that third party. But like I'm a Verizon carrier, and I just recently went over to Europe, and I had no problem whatsoever. And I don't have any global plan. It worked quite well. So I think that's something that we would have to ask regarding those two positions. We haven't been in.
Yeah, again, I'm sure there's emergency methods, but again, just checking in,
Sure,
how you
yeah.
doing, what'd you do today, that kind of stuff that
Yeah.
isn't really an emergency, but the parents just want that
Sure.
peace of mind to know
Yeah.
that, you know.
Yeah,
someone's-
I believe in the past, the teachers in the past that have gone on trips have offered, they do some posting through social media too, like as like updates of like how the tour is going and what students are doing. And then I know friends that I've had that have traveled abroad have used Facebook messaging, and that's usually free because you can use the internet services, and that would be a free way for parents to communicate with their kids. So that would be an option without the different cell phone service.
All right, thank you. Last question. On the map that you had up there, I saw a reference to flying from Paris. Is that just
That
a
is
generic
another- that's a-
picture that they had?
That was
Okay,
extra. We decided
Yeah,
not
we
to.
decided not to do that
Okay.
part.
got it. Thank you.
I was trying to find
There
it.
you go.
There we go.
Yeah, so if you see the little dotted lines from London to Paris, that was an additional days, and it was also additional cost. And we felt like that was not really the focus of the trip, and we're trying to keep it a little more reasonable for the students. So, and we also looked into some of the lodging and, you know, different details. So we felt like London and Stratford-upon-Avon and Dublin was a better choice for our kids.
Thank you.
I know that the trip to South America, I think that was capped at 40 students. I think they are at that number now. I don't know if that's based on the experience they want the kids to have or just more manageable group. But if you have the potential for hundreds of kids to go, will that be so many chaperones per group, or how would that be, just to make sure? And then would you have to make cuts if you don't have chaperones? I know you said the company will provide, you know, a guide, but is there something also from the district, parents going? I think it was another $600 for the parents to go, but.
Sure. So our plan, since this is our first trip, is to keep it a fairly small size. The way the tour works is we'll be on a bus together. The reason why is a lot of the locations we'll be traveling will be small towns and villages and locations where a bus is the best way to travel along Ireland's coast and things like that. So the minimum to go on this trip would be 12 students, and that would be 2 chaperones. And then the bus will hold 52 people, and really that would include chaperones, which would be, if we wanted, we could have up to 8 chaperones, but we're not planning on needing that many adults. We're both used to supervising 33 students at a time, so we want to give the most students the opportunity. So depending on how many students sign up, we don't foresee taking any more than 1 bus full for this first trip, just so we can be familiar with you know, the trip and make sure it's a small enough, intimate group that students have a special experience. It's controlled. So right now, that's our thinking. At the informational parent meeting, we'll get a better feeling for it, but we're not planning on taking hundreds of kids on this trip. that would be a little too big for our first one. So thank you. That's a great question.
We will be grouped with other students in the event that we have a smaller size. So I know Novi is doing one as well. So they're trying to coordinate.
Go ahead, Mr. Scott.
I just want to see if there was interest in, I know Mr. Keller mentioned trying to see if we can approve this tonight. Is there interest in doing that, or?
Well, there were a number of questions that Mr. Keller had that we didn't have answers to. So if those would hold anybody up from making a decision, I know there were some follow-ups that you wanted to make. You've got a meeting, this week, Wednesday. So I don't know if there were any answers that would hold somebody up from making a decision tonight, then I don't want to force it through. If you'd like to wait for these ladies to circle back to us, we could add, as we've done in the past, a special meeting on the 26th to have a 15-minute meeting to make the vote and then go into our committee meeting after that, since we've got that date on our calendars.
What was the date again for the meeting, the parent meeting?
We were hoping to do it on Monday, January 6th, but I believe that's your same thing. But that would help us with that 7-day ability to cancel.
It would still meet that and.
That would help.
Yeah, to meet the deadline for the time, for the pricing.
It's not been unusual for the boards of the past to be here and override board policy and make that determination tonight so that they can go forward. So I guess I would suggest maybe you ask if there's anybody that would hold it up. If not, I think it would be a great idea for the board to put aside policy and make a motion to approve the trip tonight.
Yeah, I'm fine with that personally. I just know that there were a number of questions that we didn't quite have answers to. So,
I know I'm okay. They were just
Okay.
general questions, but
Okay.
I think it's probably more appropriate for the parents to get the answers than me personally, but
understood.
I know I would be in favor of that.
I then move to set aside policy and approve the trip as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion on the table by Mr. Scott, supported by Ms. Custodio. Set aside policy. To approve the proposed high school English trip. As presented. Any further discussion on that
I
motion?
just have one thing. I hope it goes well, so you're still doing it when my kids are in high school, because
you.
this looks
Me too.
like an amazing trip.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're kind of excited about it.
Yeah, Mr. Gogoleski and I were joking about trying to create a policy where a board member needs to go with on these
Right,
trips.
absolutely.
Well, and I'll piggyback on something Mr. Gogoleski always says. We hope we can hear back from you after you go on the trip. So
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Hearing no further discussion, motion on the table brought forth by Mr. Scott, supported by Ms. Custodio, to set aside policy to approve the proposed high school English trip as presented. Mr. Gogoleski.
Well, as long as I'm going, sure, yeah.
I'll take that as a yes. Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw.
Yes.
Mr. Keller.
yes.
Mr. Scott.
Yes.
Ms. Custodio.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Motion carries.
So when you return, you're going to have to come back and do a presentation of all the great things.
We will for sure. We'll have wonderful pictures. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks for all the detail that you included in that.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, moving on to item 3A, future meetings. As we've already mentioned, January 26th is our policy committee meeting here at 6:30. Then our next regular meeting is February 16th, also here at 6:30. Any additional information items?
I have a question. So it's come up a few times, and I know we don't engage during call to public, but could we discuss the bus issue? Is that something just to make sure we're all on the same page and have the facts? I'm happy to talk with the family tonight, but just to see where we're at.
We would need a motion to add it to the agenda for a discussion, I believe. I don't know that that falls under information items. I don't know. frankly.
I would say as long as you include the words "to override policy," that it'll take care of it.
True.
Okay, let me update you, but if I could speak with the family and if anybody else wants to participate, and I can update to see if it's appropriate next time, just to make sure we're on the same page with the facts as they're understood, and try and get some closure for the family for this.
That would be outstanding.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further informational items?
Can I say something quick? Did that
Sure.
last vote just set aside policy, or did it also approve the trip?
It set aside policy to approve the trip.
All of it's in one.
Yes, as presented, set aside policy. Thank you for clarifying. No, it read to approve the proposed, set aside policy to approve. So we're good. Thank you for checking.
I'm walking out, it's not approved.
Yeah, no, agreed. Thank you. Okay, then we are adjourned. Thank you.